Green Lantern Annual Number 2, written by Robert Venditti, art by Sean Chen. This is the final conclusion part of Lights Out. So last time we had the Red Lanterns decided, hey, we're going to get involved. We're going to help you guys out. Let's go take down Relic. Also, Kyle met with Relic and said, dude, we're on your side. We totally agree. So we open up here with basically them talking about the universe, saying, yeah, there's, the emotional spectrum, the light spectrum, it's what makes the universe go, and it's on the verge of running out, but Relic is willing to do whatever it takes to get it going again. And so we cut back to Yzmalt, where the Red Lanterns, led by Guy Gardner, is like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. Let's beat him up. And Hal decides right now is the time to say, actually, hold on. I do need to tell you, we lost the planet Oa, and John Stewart died as well. And Guy's like, are you kidding me? He was my partner, and you're just telling me this now? Oh, I'm going to strangle this Relic guy. I'm going to kill him. Let's go find him. And Hal's like, we have no way of knowing where he is, as well as Kyle. They're both gone, although Kyle may know where he is. And that's when Carol decides to chime up, and she's like, I kind of know where Kyle is. And he's like, how? She's like, well, I have this pull towards him. And Hal's like, but you only do that with people you love. Son of a bitch, you love Kyle after all this? You said you wanted me to grow up, and now you're loving on Kyle? And she's like, can we do this at literally any other point when the universe is not about to end? And he's like, so she uses her Star Sapphire powers, sends out a tether, which points him in the direction of Kyle. And we cut over to the Source Wall, the border of the universe, where Relic is still doing tests, and everything that touches the Source Wall becomes part of the Source Wall. And he's like, all right, this is kind of frustrating. None of my probes are working, but maybe I can just use more light. Let me just use more light to try to bust through it. And the Guardians and Kyle are all basically saying, like, dude, we're on your side, we get it, but, like, you can't get through the Source Wall. There's no possible way to do that. And Relic's just like, well, the reservoir of emotional energy is on the other side of that. All of my research has led me to that. It's definitely there. So in order to dump the light that I've managed to save back over there, I need to get through. And Kyle points out, well, the entities inside of me, they agree with you, but they don't know, like, if you're right in that regard. They don't know if that's the truth. I mean, for all I know, I take it for what I am. I'm just a human trying to interpret what they're saying. And so Kyle turns to the Guardians, just being like, hey, I mean, why didn't the Book of Oa, why you guys Guardians, you've been around, you've seen the birth of the universe, why don't you know about this reservoir? And it's just like, history books are written by the victors. Maybe for whatever reason, the history books say, get off my back, I'm just a Guardian. So at that point, they try telling the Relic, like, maybe we should look somewhere else. And Relic just shuts them down, grabs hold of Kyle with his, like, weird tech stuff and says, all right, you know what? My universe didn't have a white lantern. So maybe that's what I need. Maybe I just need white light. So let's do that. And he starts draining Kyle of his white power. That came out wrong. And as he's doing so, the entities erupt forth out of Kyle. And Relic looks on, he's like, oh my god, these things are personifications of the forces, the things I'm trying to do. That's perfect. I'll use them. And the Guardians are like, don't mess with them, man. You are messing with the life itself if you do that. And he's like, I'm not messing, I'm experimenting. Totally different. So at that point, a bunch of Green Lantern javelins start blowing up all of Relic's tech, and the cavalry has arrived. Everyone's here to attack Relic. So big battle starts, everyone's firing, but before we get too deep into that, we cut back to the home of the Indigo Tribe, where John Stewart and his bunch of rookies are all talking to the Indigo Tribe, and the forger of the Indigo Lantern, like the power battery, Nostromo, and John's telling his rookies, like, hey, I've got a lock on where the Green Lanterns are. That's probably where the fight is. I'm gonna go. Rookies, you stay here. And they're just like, what? No, we're Green Lanterns in training. This is something we got to do too, right? And he's just like, all right, fine, whatever. Nostromo, are you in? And he's like, yeah, no, you stood with the Indigo Tribe once. We're all with you. Indigo Tribe's going to help you out. And he's like, great. But I need you to do something for me. I need your expertise. It's the whole reason I came here. I need you to build another lantern. So, cut back to the fight. We see everyone's going after Relic. Even Kyle's fighting against him a little bit. But he is trying to convince Hal, like, nah, guys, like, he's crazy, but he's right. So, at that point, we see Guy fires off a shot against Relic. He hasn't been told about the energy redirection thing, so he's about to get blasted in the face when all of a sudden Jon Stewart shows up, tackles him out of the way. Hal's just happy, or Guy's just happy to see that Jon's alive. Jon throws a right hook into Guy's face saying, "Oh, and you joined the Red Lanterns. Thanks for telling me, buddy. We'll talk about this later. Also, you look like a deranged Santa in that suit." So, at that point, the Red Lanterns say, "All right, if we can't beat back Relic, we're going to destroy all of his tech." So Red Lanterns start blowing up all of his stuff. Meanwhile, the Green Lanterns are like, wait a minute, they've got a point. Let's use the Source Wall's properties to our advantage. So they push Relic's main ship up against the Source Wall, and it immediately becomes part of the wall itself. And Relic's like, no, that's where I was keeping all of my light. God damn it. All right, now I'm pissed. So the 4 Earth Lanterns that we are so familiar with, they say, wait a minute, hold on, Source Wall. That's how we can beat Relic. I've got a plan. And so Hal says to the Indigo Tribe, we need you to teleport us in between him and his redirection stuff. And anytime he punches us out, you teleport us back in there no matter what. And they say, cool. Actually, they say knock, but they say it like it's cool. And everyone else is just basically acting to distract Relic. So they get in there, they start fighting against Relic just with their fists. They don't even bother with the constructs or anything like that. Guy is spewing his Red Lantern napalm blood all over his face, and their entire goal is they're just going to push him into the Source Wall. And so they push and push and push, and Hal manages to pull Guy off of him. Jon stays back. The only one who's now driving the force of getting Relic into the wall is Kyle. And he's just like, you idiot, I'm trying to save your universe. And he's like, yeah, well, you did it the wrong way, and now we're both going to be part of the Source Wall. So he drags Relic there, and as he's doing so, he gets his power back because it was drained by Relic, and he says, like, oh, you don't understand. I'm the White Lantern. As long as I embrace life, I am the hope for this universe, not you. So he gets 100% power. He pushes Relic into the wall, and they both kind of just phase through it. They don't stick to it immediately. They go through it, and everyone's like, oh, Jesus, what's going on? And then this giant white light goes out, and everyone's like, hey, Kyle came back. But through the white light actually comes Relic. And he's like, guys, I found it. It was the source. It's beyond the wall. I told you it was there. But then before he's able to get out, he becomes part of the Source Wall and is stuck there forever. And everyone realizes Kyle's not out again. He must be dead. He gave his life for the universe. So sad. So the Green Lanterns are all running out of juice. Carol's also only on 4%. Hal's like, look, whatever our differences are, I don't want you to see us like completely dead out here in space. You just go find a planet with an atmosphere and we'll be fine. And Jon's like, okay, yeah, great sacrifice play, but I brought the Indigo Lanterns for a reason. They're going to teleport us somewhere safe. Aren't you guys? And they say, yep. Actually, they say knock. And then all of a sudden, all the Green Lanterns, all the Red Lanterns, and Carol are teleported away. Red Lanterns back to their home planet, to which Jon is like, you sent Guy there? And he's like, you said all the Red Lanterns. I don't know what you want from me. I'm sending them back. And he's like, oh no, he's still stuck behind enemy lines. But the rest of them all arrive on Mogo. And on Mogo, they have a new power battery. And everyone's like, how is this possible? And Jon explains, I got Nostromo. He built a power battery before. We just had him do it again for the green one. Mogo actually collected all the shards from when Oa blew up, and he was saving them for Nostromo to work on. So Hal's like, awesome. It's like nothing even happened except Kyle's dead. So whatever. So he starts saying the chant, and everyone lights up their rings, save for a little side group of like monks and such. And they're just like, hey, what's going on, man? Why aren't you saying the oath? And he's like, Relic was right. And oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this entirely. When Kyle sacrificed himself, the reservoir was replenished. It's back up to full again, so they don't need to worry about it running out. But anyway, they say, yeah, Relic was right. The universe only has a limited amount of light. We shouldn't be wasting it like this. This isn't like, that's not, we're putting the universe at risk by using powers. So yeah, no, we're out. We're leaving the Green Lanterns. And then we cut back to the Guardians of the Universe, who are still looking around the source wall, and they're like, okay, well, we don't know how Kyle managed to pass through that. That was weird. That's not in any of our books, but still, maybe he's alive. Maybe he's on the other side. And then all of a sudden there's another flash of light, and Kyle comes back out through, and the Guardians are like, dude, what did you see over there? And he's like, the entities, they sacrifice themselves in order to refill the reservoir. It's good again. It's there's no problem to it at all. But I can't remember anything else about my time over there. He's like, well, maybe there's still something in your memory. And Guardian looks inside his mind and says, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, no one else can know what's going on inside his head. That is too much in there. And they said, all right, great, you're alive, but we need to keep that a secret. You are now about to start your true journey as the White Lantern. So, yeah, that's all happening eventually. So, yeah, that's the end of Lights Out. Not a lot of change. Everything's still pretty much in its place. Obviously, we established this idea that the reservoir is running out and that it is a finite resource, but then they just refill the reservoir anyway. Honestly, the biggest thing that comes out of it is the entities are dead. The entities are no longer there anymore. They are used as energy, which is okay, I guess. That leaves the only entity still alive is Parallax, because they didn't get that one out of Sinestro. So that's going to be interesting. It's setting back the clock a little bit to kind of the beginning of Jeff Johns' run before these entities were kind of a thing at all. So I don't know. I'm interested. It's an interesting new setup for it, but everything else is kind of the same. They're just on Mogo instead of Oa, and Kyle is believed to be dead. So yeah, overall, I'd say this event was decent. Not great. I think that it had a lot of big parts moving, but in the end, it ended up being like not much at all is really happening. So I'm going to say this particular issue it's like a 7.5. It's good. It's a fine. It's well written. It's just kind of what I expected at the end of this event. It doesn't really blow me away in any real regard. So yeah, we'll see what happens next across the Green Lantern mythos.